This photograph shows a man named Robert Odlum, and Odlum, in the mid-1880s, was widely considered to be the greatest swimmer in the world. Born in Ogdensburg, New York on the 31st of August 1851, he was a friend of noted swimmer and adventurer Paul Boyton, who, in 1875, had famously crossed the English Channel in an inflatable rubber suit. But in addition to setting various swimming records, Odlum was well known for performing spectacular, death-defying high dives. His exhibitions, it was said, possessed a fascination that was impossible to resist. But in 1885, he and Boyton had planned a stunt more brazen and more spectacular than anyone had ever performed before. On the 19th of May that year, he decided, completely illegally, he would jump from the railing of the Brooklyn Bridge into the East River. And at the time, it was a major news story. At 5:30 that afternoon, having carefully avoided the police who were waiting for him, Odlum rolled out onto the bridge in a horse and cart with a huge crowd watching on, jumped down into the roadway and quickly climbed onto the handrail. In a red, tight-fitting swimming jacket and with his jet-black mustache closely cropped, it was said, he was the perfect picture of manly grace and strength. And on looking down at the river, 140 feet below him, he could see that Boyton was waiting in a rescue boat. He took a deep and prolonged breath, raised his right hand into the air, and, as shown in this original 140-year-old newspaper report, jumped. For the first 100 feet, it was reported, he held to his original attitude. But then, as the water rushed up to meet him, he turned partly on his right side. He whirled his arm through the air and seemed to call out, but then slammed into the river with a terrific crash, partly on his back and right side. A cry of fear and horror went up from the crowd, and when he finally came back to the surface, he was unconscious and floating face down. Boyton dived into the river to save him, lifted him onto his shoulders and hauled him into the boat, but he was horribly injured. His first, third and fifth ribs were broken, his spleen, liver and kidneys were ruptured, and he was suffering from a head injury. As they raced back for the riverside, however, confused and disorientated, he then started to come around. "Is it all over?" he asked. "Did I make a good jump?" "A fine one," Boyton told him, but he could see that he was in serious trouble. "I'm so glad," he said. "Am I hurt much?" "Not at all, Bob," Boyton said. "Keep up your courage. You'll be all right in a little." Odlum then rolled onto his side, groaned deeply, and, with his voice growing fainter, said that his back pained him. When they finally arrived back on land, Boyton frantically called for an ambulance, but Odlum was already dead. I'll see you back here next week for another Morbid Monday.